Welcome to this explainer of Adam Koo's fascinating research. Today, we're going to challenge some deeply held assumptions about getting rich, and we're looking at the highly guarded secrets of self-made millionaires. You know, if you've ever felt like you're working incredibly hard, maybe even earning a really great salary, but you just can't seem to build actual lasting wealth, well, you are absolutely not alone. And it's probably because you've fallen victim to literally the biggest lie ever told about wealth. So stick around because we are about to uncover the foundational principle that separates the permanently wealthy from those who are, well, perpetually broke. To start us off, I want you to take a second and actually picture a millionaire in your mind. Go ahead. What does this person look like? If you're like the vast majority of us, you probably just pictured someone stepping off a massive luxury yacht, right? Wearing a custom Italian suit, maybe a shiny gold Rolex on their wrist, heading out to some $1,000 dinner. You picture the sprawling mansions, the absolute newest sports cars, and those endless self-indulgent vacations. And look, why wouldn't you? That is exactly how movies, television, and social media have trained all of us to visualize wealth. Okay, let's dive into this, because there is a stark contrast between that celebrity-driven myth of wealth and the unglamorous truth. The reality is that the media has severely distorted our perception. The people living that lavish, high-consumption lifestyle, they're usually the minority of millionaires who either inherited their money or they're athletes and entertainers. And history actually shows they almost always end up losing it all within 10 years because their wealth is entirely temporary. The actual, sustainable, self-made millionaires, the ones living right next door to you, they look absolutely nothing like the myth. The reality? They drive older cars, they shop on a budget, and they practice extreme frugality. To really understand why looking rich usually means you aren't actually rich, we have to look at something called the income expense trap. It's the fundamental law of money. Basically, when left unmanaged, your expenses will always rise to perfectly match your level of income. Let's say you get a big promotion and you start making $10,000 a month. Suddenly, you feel like you kind of deserve a swankier car, right? You start dining at upmarket restaurants. You upgrade your apartment. And what happens? That $10,000 disappears without a trace. You end up right back where you started, living paycheck to paycheck, just at a higher tax bracket. You're trapped. And that brings us right to the core message of the source material today, specifically focusing on Chapter 12, the #1 principle, extreme frugality. Now I know, this principle isn't exactly a sexy secret stock tip or some magical real estate hack, but the data behind it is what's truly mind-blowing. In the famous book, The Millionaire Mind, author Thomas Stanley surveyed 733 self-made multimillionaires. We're talking about people with $10 million or more in net worth. Do you know how many of those multimillionaires spent more than $399 on a suit? Zero. Literally not a single one of them. The people with the absolute most money in the bank are, ironically, the ones least willing to overspend on looking like they have money in the bank. Let's look a bit closer at exactly how these real millionaires live. They don't just cap their suit purchases at $399. The vast majority of them drive locally made cars that are over 10 years old. They absolutely do not lease the newest luxury model every 2 years. Furthermore, they live on very strict monthly household budgets. They track every single dollar that flows through their hands. They know exactly what's coming in, and they rigorously control what's going out. And this brilliantly illustrates the principle on an absolutely massive scale. We aren't just talking about everyday millionaires here, we're talking about billionaires. Look at Ingvar Kamprad, the founder of IKEA, and at one point unofficially the richest man in the world. He notoriously flew economy class, drove an old Volvo, and purposely waited until the afternoon to buy his fruits and vegetables at the market just because the prices dropped. Or look at the late Singaporean billionaire Lee Kong Chan. Despite his massive fortune, he preferred cheap street food, drank plain tap water, and routinely took public transport. These titans of industry didn't just stumble into wealth, they fiercely protected it. So you might be wondering, why do they do it? Why make all that money if you aren't going to live in luxury? Well, it all comes down to a massive mindset shift regarding gratification. Most people are completely addicted to instant gratification, spending money right now to feel a fleeting sense of pleasure. You buy a designer watch, you feel good for an instant, but then that money's gone forever, earning you zero returns. The wealthy, however, operate on delayed gratification. They happily sacrifice those short-term indulgences because they actually have the patience to wait for the incredible exponential abundance that comes in the future. So the crucial point here is captured perfectly in this quote. If spending money brings you enjoyment, you will never be rich. However, if making money brings you enjoyment, then your wealth is guaranteed. Real millionaires simply don't get their joy from swiping a credit card. They get their thrill from the process itself. They love building the business, creating value, and watching their net worth grow. To them, money is just a scorecard measuring their success, definitely not a ticket to buy more toys. And when you hate spending money and love making it, you unlock the true magic of wealth, the compounding effect. If you're like most people and you spend everything you earn, well, after 40 years, you have nothing. But if you practice extreme frugality and save just 10% of your income every single month and invest it at a solid 15% return, that money compounds massively. Small, disciplined, frugal choices, day after day, turn into multi-million-dollar portfolios over time. Your money finally starts working for you instead of you working for your money.
All right, let's move right into Section 2, Action Steps for Wealth, specifically focusing on controlling your expenses.
To stop the income expense trap in its tracks and start building compounding wealth, here are 4 golden rules to really master your cash flow. Rule number 1, always ask for a discount. Seriously, simply asking can easily net you a 10% discount, which is an instant 10% return on your money. Rule number 2, pay yourself first. Do not wait to see what's left at the end of the month to save. Take your investment capital right off the top before you pay a single bill. Rule number 3, pay only with cash. When you physically hand over cash, it actually registers in your brain differently. You feel the loss, which naturally curtails impulse spending. And finally, rule number 4, destroy all credit cards but one. I really want to emphasize that last point because it is incredibly powerful. Taking a pair of scissors and destroying all of your excess credit cards, leaving just one single card with a strict limit for absolute necessities, can instantly shave 15 to 20% off your monthly expenses. 15 to 20%! When you remove the easy temptation of credit, you literally force yourself to live within your actual means. Now, it might sound a little painful at first, but that 15% saved and invested is the exact fuel you need to build your financial fortress. So as we wrap up our explainer today, I want to leave you with one final, provocative question. Knowing what you know now about the true nature of wealth and the absolutely incredible power of extreme frugality and compounding, what is your choice? Are you going to continue falling into the income expense trap, choosing to merely look rich today just to impress people you don't even know? Or will you adopt the mindset of the self-made millionaire, embrace frugality, delay your gratification, and choose to actually be rich tomorrow? The choice and your financial future is entirely in your hands.